Great to have you start joining. Hi, Frederick. Good to see you. Freddie, can feel free to unmute yourself if you like.
Hi, Terry.
Hey, great to have you here.
Thank you.
Hey, we'll be starting the peace process shortly, as soon as a few more people join.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Great.
This will be great. And I am recording this, just so you all know. Hey, Tim, great to see you. Hi, Jude, great to see you here. Feel free to unmute and say hello if you like. We'll be starting the peace process shortly. I do have a volunteer, so as soon as she jumps on, we'll get going.
Tim's got his partner.
I see that.
I've got mine as well.
Wonderful. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Roz is lying on the bed.
Oh, great.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for joining.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great to have you here. And I'm so glad everyone's jumping on early because I want to get going as soon as our volunteer joins in today, which will be great. So yeah, this is exciting. And this is a process that I learned several years ago. And it really helped just to, again, release just trauma that we bury, right? Because life happens, life gets busy. We don't always have time to stop and choose love at those moments when so much is going on. So what do we do with the fear? We bury it, right? We push it down and we say, I'll deal with it later. And usually we don't deal with it later. And all that buried fear and trauma shows up as dis-ease, ultimately showing itself as disease of all kinds. So, so today we're going to do the peace process. And my volunteer has shown up. Her name is Pam Leitner. Thanks for coming, Pam. She's going to be my volunteer, and I'm going to lead her through the peace process. And it's so amazing because the first time I learned this, I was in a workshop with hundreds of people. And I was surprised that even though the facilitator was working with one person, almost everyone I talked to afterwards experienced a sense of relief and release while going through this process. So I would say, you know, to the best of your ability, really focus on what's going on within you as I talk to Pam and lead Pam through this process, because it's just amazing to be able to take that fear and finally bring it into the light. Now, so many times we have these monsters in the closet that grow disproportionately out of control, and we're afraid to open the door. And we're like, no, don't open the door. But as soon as we do and we look at it, it's like, oh, okay, we can resolve this now. And I find too that a lot of these monsters in our closets are birthed from an early fear-based thought or story that we told ourselves, probably when we were maybe 5 years old, somewhere around there, give or take. Something happened to us that was traumatic the first time we experienced deep fear, and we created a story out of it to protect ourselves, whatever that story was. And you know, we just went forward with that. And I know my early fear-based story was, I am afraid and I'm not safe. And that happened when I was about 5 years old. I had an experience where, you know, my mother had disciplined me in front of my entire first grade class. And of course, she was just doing what she thought she was supposed to do. We were all jumping on the sofa at my birthday party. But it was so traumatic for me and embarrassing. She lifted my dress up and pulled down my underwear, and it was like, oh,
Oh,
and,
boy.
you know, gave me a really hard spanking in front of all my classmates. And I was just mortified. And I just, from that day forward, I didn't feel safe. You know, here was the one person that was supposed to protect me had done this awful, awful thing in my mind. And it played itself out over and over again through my life, in my career choices, in my relationship choices. I was always, you know, in those situations where I was afraid and I wasn't safe. And so I kept attracting more of that because I hadn't looked at that early fear and released it. So I just kept continuing the process of that. So today, we're going to go ahead and get started, I think, in just a couple of minutes. And I want to say thank you to Pam for volunteering to do this. And, you know, you don't have to say what the story is. It's not important, because the truth is the story is a lie, right? The story is something we told ourselves when we didn't have the tools to protect ourselves, but it created that intense feeling somewhere in our body. Maybe it was in our chest or in our gut, right? Or in our throat, where we feel like we can't talk, you know, somewhere something happened and it landed there. And that's what we're going to release. And it's not just one thing, right? Because it happens over and over and over again, and we keep stuffing them down, and stuffing them down, and stuffing them down. So what I find is, once you release the one thing that you feel is standing in your way, you know, you feel great and this is awesome. But pretty soon something else starts bubbling up, and that's a sign to say, oh, I need to do some more work. I need to release more of this hidden, suppressed trauma, this fear that I've shoved down inside of me. And the good news is you can do this process over and over and over again, as many times as you want, until you really feel like, wow, you know, I don't have these fears anymore that I'm shoving down or hiding inside of me. So I guess we should probably get started, and that way, you know, maybe we can have some time for discussion afterwards. So if everyone can mute themselves except Pam, I'm going to stay with Pam right now. And that would be great. And first of all, I just want to say thank you, Pam, for volunteering. I really appreciate that, because this really will help everyone. And as people join, I will admit them into the space, and I'll just tell them to re-watch this recording if they want to start from the beginning. All right, so welcome everyone to this peace process where we're going to release this trauma. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through this process. And the purpose of the process really is to bring to the surface any unresolved pain that you have stored in your body during times of stress or anxiety or trauma. Because the tendency, as I said earlier, is to stuff it down and bury it with food, with alcohol, with sex, with television, anything you can do to keep yourself from feeling the pain. And, you know, life happens and we don't always have the tools or the time to deal with it. And as it comes our way, we tend to bury it so we can cope with our day-to-day responsibilities. And, you know, like when I was younger, I had to raise my kids and run my business. And there was just always so much to do just to live that I just never dealt with it. So I just kept pushing it down and pushing it down. So today we're going to begin the healing process and bring it up to the surface. So Pam, do you have like a glass of water or something with you that you can have a drink? Okay, good. You might want to start with that. Just have a little drink of water. Everybody who wants to follow along. It's always nice to be hydrated. You may also want to have a box of tissues just in case anything comes up. And that way we can just be ready and be prepared to be comfortable through the process. Good morning, Carl. I've just asked everybody to mute themselves except for Pam, because I'm going to lead Pam through the peace process. And we're almost there. And I'm just inviting everyone to have a drink of water and a box of tissues handy so that you can all follow through and release your emotional trauma that maybe has been buried inside of yourselves. Okay, so let's get started. Pam, can you recall a situation or an event where you felt wronged or maybe personally attacked or even caught off guard in a vulnerable way that has somehow left you feeling a great amount of emotional trauma or even anger or sadness?
The thought that came up from my childhood was something I wasn't aware of at the time, that it was not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's more like how it's played out in my life.
Right.
Rather than.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I could just briefly say it. My mother would, I was probably 5, but she would drive me to the bar. It would be supper time, and she would tell me to go get my dad. And there was a place called the Foxhole, so it was like a basement, down the stairs, dark, smoky bar that I remember her sending me down. And you know, but of course that time I didn't know that wasn't an appropriate thing for a child to do. So anyway, that was the one I've been thinking about. And then how that has played out in my life.
Right. And so when you think of that, or if you think of anything that brings you to that place of where you can feel a reaction in yourself, like it could be from when you were 5, or it could be from yesterday or last week or last month or even last year, where something really struck you hard and it brought up an emotion that landed someplace really hard in your body. Can you think of something that does that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And all of you following along, you've probably thought of something that has just hit you really hard and you can feel it, right? Where in your body has it landed? And some of the common areas might be your throat, your stomach, your head, your neck, your chest, or even some other areas. But what is it for you, Pam?
My chest.
Your chest. Okay. So I want you to remember the details as closely as you can. Remember the details that led to that situation as if they're happening right now.
I can do that.
Okay. I want you to be really present with the physical sensation and the feeling in your body and focus on where it's landing in your body. The feeling is there. Where is it?
My heart.
Your
my
heart.
Chest.
Okay, it's in your heart. Tune into it and describe it. It might be hot or cold, jagged or smooth. It could be still or moving. What is it for you?
Pressure.
Pressure. Okay. Like
tightness.
Tightness. Okay. Does it have a temperature?
Heat.
Heat. Okay. All right. No,
Even just uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable in your chest. Okay. Okay. Focus on that sensation. And while you're focusing on that sensation, I want you to give it all of your attention, but I want you to let go of the story that's attached to it. Let go of the story, but focus on the attention, on the feeling, that tightness in your chest, that pressure. And I want you to really look at it and allow it to get bigger.
I'm going to say something strange. Give me 1 second off camera, just 30 seconds. All right.
Okay. Okay. You okay? Oh, we lost your sound, Pam.
Okay. I don't know why.
Oh, now we can hear you. Now we can hear you.
It'll come back.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Should we start again, or are you okay?
Let's start again.
Okay. All
I have a feeling the feeling might shift. I
Okay.
don't know.
All right. So I want you to be really present on the physical sensation and the feeling in your body after you remember the details of the situation. And let me know when you feel it.
I feel
Okay. Is it still in the same place?
it. Yes.
Okay. Now focus all of your attention on the feeling and just let go of the story of how it got there and focus all of your attention on the feeling and allow it to get bigger. And I want you to describe on a scale of 1 to 10, how big is it?
7.
About a 7, okay. Now with your eyes closed, I want you to take a deep breath in and allow it to get even bigger. And describe the feeling again. You still feel the pressure?
I'm feeling less pressure.
Okay, but it's still that pressure and you're still allowing it to get bigger. You're still focusing on it.
Yes.
Okay, so stay with that feeling and let it move around if it has to, but just keep your attention on the most intense part of it.
Okay.
And now imagine that feeling as if it's a baby crying. And it's crying so hard, but there seems to be nothing that you can do to console it. You've fed it, you've burped it, you've changed it, but it's still crying. So now all there is left to do is give it unconditional love. So with your next inhale, I want you to breathe in as much love as you can. And with your exhale, I want you to imagine that you're showering all of that unconditional love into that crying child within you, into that place of pain. It's your unconditional love with each inhale again. And each exhale as if it's a shower, just showering down over that pain. And as you do it, I want you to imagine that pain as that deep wounded inner child. And I want you to say to that pain, it's okay. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. And I love you. And with each inhale, fill your heart with love. And with each exhale, let that love go into that area of pressure and just give it all of your unconditional love. And we'll keep breathing with each inhale. And we each exhale, raining down that soothing love into that place of pressure and pain, and just nurturing that inner child, letting it know I see you. I hear you. I love you unconditionally. With each breath, just fill your heart with more love. And with each exhale, just nurture and love that place inside of you that is wanting your attention, wanting your love, your unconditional love. A few more minutes. Keep breathing. Keep filling your heart with love and keep showering that love into that place. Allowing that love to flow from your heart to that place that you have been holding on, that place that you need to love yourself just a little bit more. A few more breaths. Deep, deep breaths. Deep breaths of unconditional love. How is that feeling now, Pam?
Oh, better.
If you
It's
could
like,
say on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you with that pain?
like 4.
Like a 4. Okay. All right. Well, let's keep it then. Let's keep working. Let's keep closing your eyes and let's work a little bit more. Let's keep sending that love into that space, that wounded part inside that is crying. And just say to yourself, I love you. It's okay. I'm here for you. I've got you. I am love. You are love. And allow that pain to be acknowledged and brought to the light and seen and loved and released. I see you. I hear you. I love you. I release you. One more minute. Deep breath. Deep exhale. Deep love. How are we now, Pam?
Better.
Better? On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are now?
2.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. And, you know, it's something that we can do every day. And, you know, release that trauma and know that we are worthy, that we are loved, that we are lovable, that we are safe. And then we can write a new story instead of I am afraid and I am not safe. My new story is I am love and I am all powerful. So maybe think about what your new story can be and continue to do this work, right? Continue to do this peace process. Does anybody else want to share? Or Pam, would you like to share more about what happened and how you felt and the experience?
I can say that, you know, when you prompted me just to love myself, it was like it hadn't occurred to me that what was going on was I was not loving myself. And of course, that was immediately available then for me to do.
Right.
And when I just felt that, I felt better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thought that I can rewrite that story.
Right.
Lots of opportunity, you know,
Right.
it permeates my life and my relationships and my family.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
There's a lot, you know, to share about just what that would look like, me loving myself.
Right. Right. Every day. Because, you know, the truth is, until you love yourself, you can't love another. There's nothing to give, right? So we have to fill ourselves first with that self-love so that we can bubble over, and then all of the stuff that bubbles out, that's what we share with others, right? But it's that self-love, that self-nurturing, that self-care that's so important. And just knowing that that is what you are.
And it's like, I know these things, and still I ran myself into the ground,
Yeah.
caring for others and not myself.
Right. 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 So good reminders. And thank you again for being a volunteer. And I hope others who were joining and listening were able to, you know, resolve some of that inner suppressed trauma by doing this exercise.
Yes.
Thank you, Terry.
Of course. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Being able to take care of somebody else, you have to take care of yourself first so that you can do that.
That's true.
Loving yourself first, then you can bring that love out. I know we forget those things, you know, because we've forgotten.
Because you know why? Because we don't practice it every day. It's not part of our everyday practice. So putting self-care and self-love into your daily practice is important. Did anybody else have an experience they wanted to share from that?
Just to say, it was a wonderful reminder of the fact that we are love, which I think it's easy to forget sometimes. But to remember that I am love, and to have that self-love available more.
Right.
Because if I've got it available more for myself, I think it'll also be more available for my loved ones as well.
Sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've got to start with the understanding that you're love, that you are love. And, you know, I did that a long time ago. I got that. But it's easy to forget. So this is a wonderful reminder.
Great.
To keep the love topped up.
Thank you, Freddie. I appreciate that.
And
It's
we
interesting.
forget,
Go ahead.
we forget because it's our thought process and we're still seeing us as separate. And so we think we know, but the word think is the operative word. When we are luxuriating in spirit and fully in that space, then we know absolutely it's beyond thought, it's beyond duality, therefore we are that which we think we are, we truly are. And so therein lies the difference. As you're still, as we, as you, as I am all looking at it still in duality, then we tend to slip into that other space that we've allowed to exist as living in duality. But when that space no longer exists, then we know we are love. We know we are spirit. We just are. Mm-hmm. And we can't refute that because that's the natural law of truth. But we can certainly hide it living in duality.
Right, that's true. True.
I could share something briefly. Oh, I see it's 12:30, so.
I know it is. And I'd love, why don't you go ahead and share if it has to do with what we're talking about now. We'll just get started a little bit late because I think this peace process has brought up a lot of things for people that people want to talk about. So feel free to share, Pam.
I'm just finding life interesting where I try to make this fast, where I wore myself out taking care of others, a baby in particular, and my daughter, and to the point where I couldn't do it. So I'm like, okay, I'll stop all this other work I do and only take care of the baby. And I'm like, hooray. Now it's wonderful. Somebody else can cook, clean. But then even that role of caretake for the baby was taken away when I got exposed to COVID by my son. And so now I'm quarantining. And so here I am in my house, but I can't even take care of the baby. And it's, so the universe kind of conspired. I was afraid I was going to get too sick to take care of the baby. I don't think I'm getting COVID. I'm going for a test right after this, but, it helped me slow down. So talking about self-care, my son said, well, just treat it like a retreat. And so it's kind of like, well, that's not bad advice.
Right.
Well, yeah, okay, I will.
Make the best of it for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to welcome some people who have joined. I see OA is here today. Great to have you here. And I know.
Hello, thank you.
Great to see. Well, great to hear you. I can't see you right now, but great to hear you. Great to have you here. We just did something called the peace process to release some emotional trauma, and I had told people that we were going to jump on at noon to do that. So we were just finishing up those conversations. So if anybody's interested in watching the replay, it'll be available. And you can follow through and do it yourself. I wanted to say thank you to Pam for being our volunteer today. And I led Pam through a peace process, but you can all listen and go through it again and again and again, as many times as you like, because it's always on my YouTube channel if you want to access the replays. So, and it's great to have you guys here.